This is Geek Therapy Radio.
What are we waiting for?
And now your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger.
Welcome to this edition of Midweek Geek. One last podcast, I guess this is, because it's a Midweek Geek. This isn't going over the air on KPRC 950, but one last recording on my European adventure this summer. Today I'm coming from you live. Well, actually, if you're listening to this, I am in Dusseldorf, Germany. And I'm sitting here in an open window, so I apologize if you hear maybe people in the background riding their bikes, or maybe some people, I don't know, making funny noises. I'm also very nearby the airport, so if you hear the occasional plane taking off, I apologize in advance, but it shouldn't be too bad. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, I did the best I could with the video. It's super difficult to do these things remotely and with very minimal setup. I have a very small little tripod that I hook up to my Samsung Galaxy S9, so it's way across the bed in the corner. I try to get a good shot out the window, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's just no way for me to do it, and I even went around this hotel here in Dusseldorf looking for the best possible setup for all of this as far as a view is concerned. I know at the beginning of this video, maybe I'll put some, maybe I'll pepper in some views of the city in the video version of this that goes onto YouTube, which is a good segue to say subscribe to Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. And while you're at it, Geek Therapy Radio, Instagram, Facebook, all that good social media stuff. Twitter too. I'm becoming more active on Twitter. If you missed my interview with Lights, the pop musician, I recorded her a week or two ago, and it was fabulous. You can go and listen to that. It's a very good interview. But yeah, like I was saying, I scouted out the hotel. I walked all around this hotel looking for the best location to possibly shoot that had a good visual and audio. That was a good video and audio location. So it had a good backdrop for the video and had some good non-echoey audio acoustics. And I did not find it. It was kind of difficult. I thought that maybe there would be like a roof lounge or something. I could go outside. I thought about doing this on the street here in Dusseldorf, but I hate wind noise, and I'm not set up to deal with wind noise right now. So yeah, I didn't do anything from the street. Maybe I'll be able to get out there and record some more street stuff and pepper into this video. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my time here, and really for this Midweek Geek, I had nothing really real prepared to talk about. I will talk about something. I'm sure you will see this podcast is labeled as such, whatever I decide to talk about. I do think I know what I want to shoot the cuff about. But yeah, I just kind of hit record here and got her going. I just had dinner. Sorry, there's a plane behind me. Just had dinner, ate some pizza at a nice little pizza place by the Hotel Lindner. That's where I'm staying right now. The Hotel Lindner, Linder, in Dusseldorf. And then I went across the, well, actually it's in the same building, just a little pub, and had a pint. Before I ate, I had 3 drinks. They weren't pints. They were those little, it's kind of funny. Some places you go, maybe it's just in Europe, maybe it's just in Germany, I don't know, but they give you, is it half pint? Is it even that? It looks like a third pint. It's a very small glass. So if you just ask for a beer, as I've come to realize, unless you want a pint, you have to specifically ask for a pint. Now, if you go to an Irish pub, they'll probably just give you a pint straight up. And that's honestly, and this is probably what I'm going to talk about in this podcast here, this Midweek Geek. It's just kind of my experience going around Europe. I came here in 2009 with Daniel S., who's been on the last episode of Geek Therapy Radio. I think things are a little bit different now. I don't, not much, but a little bit. But anyways, all I'm saying is any city we kind of go to, me and Daniel go to, we look for an Irish pub. And I think that's for 2 reasons. Yes, a lot of people know English in Europe. Not everybody knows a lot of English in Europe. You can't blame them for that. That's not their problem. They have no... What use do they have for English, really? If you're in some small remote part of the Netherlands or small remote part of Germany or wherever, you probably don't need a whole lot of English. So both bars that I've been to this afternoon, the bartenders didn't speak a lick of English, maybe a tiny bit. We both knew a little bit enough of each other's language to get what I wanted, which was a beer and then to pay for the beer. We both kind of knew what each other was talking about. But I was saying, me and Daniel sort of, hopefully you can catch in the background the plane going off, me and Daniel look for the Irish pubs, because for one thing, like I was saying about English, there's a good chance that you will find native English speakers in Irish pubs around Europe, at least around Western Europe and Northern Europe. So both bartenders at Zoe's there in Hertogenbosch, and the Irish pub there, where do we go? Nijmegen? 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 We went yesterday, find an Irish pub. They speak English. You're probably not going to find a whole lot of Americans there. And on a quick side note, I borderline hate finding other Americans while I'm traveling around Europe. The reason that I come to Europe is kind of to put 6,000 or 7,000 miles between. I'm not ashamed of my culture, but I just try to get disconnected. I try to get as off grid from American life as possible. Again, nothing against American life. It's just when I travel to Europe, it's like I try to avoid talking to other Americans because that's boring. I know what Americans' experiences have been. I want to talk to a Dutch person. I want to talk about their experiences. I want to talk to people from England about their experience. I want to talk to Germans about their experience. So that's what I'm saying. When you go to an Irish pub, you find people who are more likely to speak English, and those who speak English fluently, like you heard James from the previous Midweek Geek, he's from Ireland. So got a thick accent, but you can still understand what they're saying. And usually the barkeep in an Irish pub, to my knowledge and to my experience, has been an English speaker either from somewhere in the UK, so Ireland, Scotland, usually England. There's a lot of people from England, but the clientele kind of are more inclined to speak English. So when you're sitting in an Irish pub somewhere in Holland or somewhere in the Netherlands, I was going to say same place roughly. It's kind of we explained that a little bit in a previous podcast. But the natives that go to an Irish pub are more likely to speak English. Because let's say a Dutch person's going to an Irish pub. They know that the bartender most likely is probably going to speak English, so maybe they'll test their English. Now, a lot of the times, the English barkeep will know Dutch, or will know German, or will know whatever the native language is of the country that the Irish pub resides in. But, yeah, so any city that I've been to, I look for the Irish pub. I haven't found one within walking distance here in Dusseldorf, but again, I'm right near the airport. My flight leaves tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. I've got my alarm set for 5 a.m. It is, when am I recording this right now? It's 8:11 p.m., so I'm going to record this and probably go to bed, maybe go to the bar downstairs and have a cocktail, a little nightcap, as they say. But I'm not wrapping up the podcast right now because there's actually something that came to mind that I do want to discuss a little bit further. And that is a funny phenomenon that happens when you go to a bar and people find out you're American. Usually it's been my practice to sort of speak softly and only speak to the bartender or only speak to English people around me or whatever, but sometimes you'll get somebody who overhears you. Oh, you're American? Yes. You know, if someone overhears you and they hear that you're American, it has not been a rare occasion where that person will then engage you in a very stupid way. And I'm not calling the person who engages you stupid. I'm just calling them... Just like there's stereotypes for any country around the world, the person who calls you out at a bar for being American is only going to know those stereotypes and is only going to ask you about those stereotypes. For instance, and I'm not calling this guy out specifically. I don't know what his name was. I don't remember his name. But he was at Zoe's the other night, and he basically found out we were American. So his first questions were, actually, it was, where are you from? Where was I from in the United States? I was like, and when they ask you where you're from in the United States, that's a big gulp. That's a big eye roll, because I don't have to say Texas. I'm proud to say Texas, but I know that I'm going to say the word Texas to this person, and they're going to immediately say something dumb after that, some sort of stereotype they know. So this person asked, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, I paused a little bit. "I'm from Texas." "Oh, so you like guns? You shoot guns? You vote for Trump? You love Trump?" Wow, that's an awful lot of assumptions based on the location where I'm from. Now, I will say, for a lot of people from Texas, that's probably true. There are a lot of people from Texas, obviously, who own guns, who shoot guns regularly, and who probably voted for Trump and support Trump. That is not, and I'm not saying either way where my stance is on that politically or about guns, but it's always, I don't want, maybe offended isn't the right word to use, but I don't like when people assume that since I'm from Texas, regardless of my feelings for whoever's the president, regardless of my feelings for guns or whatever, it's not even just guns, I'll get to in a second, but I just roll my eyes, and it's just funny to me that that's the first thing out of their mouth. And it just goes to show you that those types of people who like to stereotype are all over the world. It's not just ignorant Americans who stereotype people from elsewhere on the planet. People will stereotype Americans very much. And, it probably wouldn't be such a stretch to say that they stereotype Americans more than they'd stereotype anyone else. And I know that sounds weird for a second, but let me explain. American culture is so pervasive around the world in TV and movies and music that I almost don't blame somebody from outside of the United States stereotyping me as an American, because all they know are action movies and just Hollywood. All they know is TV. All they know is music. And that paints it's not a romantic picture. It's a very stereotypical kind of misguided view of what American life is. Because let me tell you, I haven't traveled all over the world, but I've traveled around enough to realize one very basic thing. We are not very different at all. I'm here in Dusseldorf, and I might as well be, as far as, as far as the basic way of life, I might as well be in Ohio somewhere. Everyone kind of wants the same thing. Everyone's out right now just at the local watering hole, just kind of talking and congregating in places and commiserating together. And they all want the same thing. They all want to be happy. They all want a roof over their head. They all want to eat. We all pretty much do the same thing. So it's funny that when you say you're from the United States, when you say you're from America, and God help you if you say you're from Texas, people's first reaction, and maybe these people haven't been to the United States, they haven't been there to see that, oh, there's some cool stuff over there, but yes, these people are basically like me as far as our wants and desires and concerns. So, what was the other thing I was going to say? It wasn't just politics, and it wasn't just shooting guns and stuff. This person went on to talk about, oh, you're from Texas, so you ride a horse. And no. I've seen more horses in the Netherlands over the past month than I've seen in Texas. As a matter of fact, I can't remember the last horse I've seen in Texas. The last horse I remember seeing was in the Netherlands, was outside of Den Bosch. And horses are cool. I love horses. But he assumed, whenever someone says, oh, you're from Texas, you ride horses everywhere. My response is, my mother was from New York and rode horses to high school. Now, do you stereotypically assume someone from New York to be someone who rides horses all the time? No. The other thing is, California has a lot of horses. I've seen more horses in California than I've ever seen around Houston. That's not to say there's few horses around Houston. Yes, there's lots of horses around Houston, but the point is there's horses everywhere. There's horses everywhere in the world. Anywhere you have a decently open area or some field somewhere, some farmland somewhere, there's gonna be horses. So there's lots of horses in Germany. There's lots of horses in the Netherlands. I'm sure there's lots of horses in France. I'm sure there's lots of horses everywhere. Italy, all over the place. But it's just kind of funny. Oh, you're from Texas. You ride horses everywhere and shoot guns. Yes, I in the morning I get on my horse and I just fire revolvers, double-fisted on my way to work. On my way to work at the ranch, at the cattle ranch. Put on my 10-gallon hat, get on my horse, shoot my guns. Typical day in Texas. Let me check what time I have on the podcast here. Okay, 60 minutes of having really nothing prepared. That's pretty good. I guess one last thing to kind of start wrapping things up here. If you have any interest in traveling and you are still able-bodied to do it, do it. Travel. Please travel. You know, this is called Geek Therapy Radio. A lot of people, their geek thing, their passion, their hobby is traveling. And maybe you might be listening to this and you might think, oh, these some interesting things in there. Maybe I'll like to give it a go. Give it a go. Do it. And traveling to Western Europe, for instance, is very easy. It's not hard to do. It takes a little bit of money, but if you plan it out right, you can do it for relatively cheap. But the point is, travel. If you have the means and the time and an able body, then please travel. Don't psych yourself out of it. Don't think it's going to be so complicated. Just dive in. When I left the Netherlands today, when I left Den Bosch today, I don't think I've traveled anywhere internationally by myself. So this is my first trip by myself, and it was my first time going inner city and inner country in Europe by myself. So I guess there could be a tendency for some people to think that is intimidating or scary. But you know what? Smartphones are a thing now. If you have a smartphone, traveling is pretty much idiot-proof. The other thing is, a lot of people speak English. If you need help or need information, a lot of people speak English. Go to a kiosk in a train station. What platform am I supposed to be at? Where do I get tickets or whatever? Just ask if they speak English, and they do, and they'll help you. It's not so scary to do. In the public transit's very easy to navigate, and it's very efficient. I know, being from Houston, that's kind of a far-fetched thing to think about, not having a car, but honestly, I didn't have a car all the way from here from the Netherlands, from Den Bosch. I didn't have a car from Den Bosch to Dusseldorf. I walked, and I'm still barely over 6,000 steps today. It's not a lot. I think I walked 700 meters from the train station to here, so maybe half a kilometer, a little over half a kilometer. Not bad. Really not bad. And navigating is easy. It's so easy. Again, if you have any problem, any question about it, just pop open your phone and open Google Maps. Pop in where you want to go. It will guide you there. So really, there's no excuse nowadays. The world is smaller than ever. There's no excuse not to travel. And I can't wait till the next time I can come out here. I think maybe my next trip's going to be to Asia somewhere. I think I might go to Japan because I've not been across the Pacific Ocean yet. I would like to do that, and I think the first trip is probably going to be Japan. But I love coming to Europe. I love coming here and drinking coffee and eating at restaurants and drinking wine. I normally don't drink a lot of wine, but again, I try to do things that I don't normally do in the United States. I went to the supermarket and bought cheese and dry meat dry slices of meat, and that's the greatest thing in the world. And I just remember there's still a hunk of meat that I bought in Daniel's refrigerator, or a hunk of cheese and some meat in there. Probably throw it away at this point, but the cheese here, you just buy some cheese and eat it. Buy little sliced meats and eat it. Drink wine. It's wonderful. It is just wonderful. The weather's nice. It is August 14th right now, Tuesday, August 14th, and it's in the 70s, I think, right now, here in Dusseldorf. It was in the 70s. It was even down to the 60s, high temperature in Den Bosch. So the temperature, the summer temperatures here in Europe, by and large, are just exquisite. You see, I'm wearing a sweater right now. I'm wearing a light sweater. I've got the sleeves rolled up because I might go out there and drink something and it might get a little chilly. I think that the low tonight, August 14th, is upper 50s Fahrenheit, obviously. That is so nice. The other day it got to 83 degrees, but a nice breeze when Dan and I went to Nijmegen. Went to an outdoor bar, had a brewery. Wonderful. I got a sunburn right on my bald head and my scalp. I digress. Actually, the hottest place I've ever been in the world so far has been Rome. Last year, about this time, Sarah and Daniel and Amber and I were cruising around the Vatican, cruising around Rome, in Italy, in Pompeii, and I was so unimaginably hot. But it was doable. I didn't burn at all there. I didn't burn. Here, it got up to 83 degrees and I burned. I burned considerably in the Netherlands. Not too bad. I'll survive. But to wrap it up, travel. If you can travel, it's easier. It's easier than ever now. The world is so small now, so you can get some really good deals. Not to name drop too much, but kayak.com. Like, get the kayak app and set your budget and just some loose dates, and you can get to Europe pretty much on your budget. You can do a nice European trip for, if you plan it all right, if you do it just right, well under $2,000. Around $2,000, you could probably do just a wonderful European trip. And way less than that. I don't even know what I spent this time around. Nowhere near $2,000. I was staying with Daniel, so I saved a lot of money there. But anyways, point is, I digress. Travel if you can. It's wonderful. I know a lot of us are geeks about traveling, and some of us are geeks and we're interested in traveling. Just do it. Pack appropriately and lightly, and just go travel. Go see the world. Broaden your horizons. It'll help you understand a little bit more about yourself. It'll help you understand whatever your country of origin is. It'll help you understand where you came from a little better. Helps you like for my case, it helps me put into perspective the concerns in the United States and how similar and different, vastly different they are to concerns of other countries. For one thing, I won't really get into here, but immigration is a big thing all over the world. And if you think the United States is strict on immigration, you need to educate yourself on how the rest of the world does it. That's all I'm going to say. But it helps put things in a lot of perspective. So, yeah, like immigration, it's a hot topic all over the world, not just the United States. The United States situation is very much different, very, very different than around the rest of the world, but it's a concern everywhere. So like I said, just traveling helps broaden your horizons, broaden your viewpoint, helps you understand your country a little better, where you came from, helps you understand, of course, the country you go to, and basically connects you with the world, makes you a little bit more worldly and a little bit more compassionate, I think. Overall, traveling just makes you a little bit more compassionate to your fellow mankind. So, I love traveling. I very much encourage you guys to travel. That's going to do it for Geek Therapy Radio this week. Make sure you're subscribed to all the stuff. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Just Google Geek Therapy Radio and all that stuff. It's going to come up. Like, follow, subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of off-the-cuff edition of Midweek Geeks, because I sure enjoyed talking about it. It's about 8:27 right now. As I look at my watch, I think I'm going to go have a cocktail before I come up here back to bed, before catching my 7:30 flight. Is it 7:30 a.m. flight tomorrow morning? I got to get up early. Got to be at the airport like 2 hours early at least. Anyways, thanks for listening to this edition of Midweek Geek. Hope you had fun. I guess that's it. Take care, everybody. Be good to yourselves. One way we can be good in our world is to start by being good to ourselves. So take care of yourself. Indulge your geek thing this week. Spend 5 minutes doing your geek thing. Maybe spend 5 minutes looking into a new hobby or passion that you might have been interested in. Spend 10 minutes on kayak or on Google Maps or Earth and just kind of figure out where you want to go. But be good to yourself. It's very hard to be good to others. Really be good to each other. If you're not good to yourself. If you don't know how to be good to yourself. But with that, take care. Have a great week. I'll talk to you guys this weekend on the actual broadcast of Geek Therapy Radio. But until then, take care. Have a great week until then.